Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Is Change Good? Today I will be talking about Pokemon! I absolutely love this series and I've played so many Pokemon games for so many hours, including some of the spin-offs. I also got Omega Ruby! Now there are a few things I want to clear up from the start before I begin talking about the Pokemon games. I will be talking about the changes that the series went through from generation to generation. From Red and Blue to Silver and Gold to Ruby and Sapphire and so on. I will mention things that affected the gameplay and the overall experience of playing through the game, but I will leave a few things out. Things like Pokemon designs, music, and story are purely based on opinion, and different people have different tastes, so you can't really say if it was bad or good. Even though we clearly know what gen had the best Pokemon designs and music. No, Sneezer. I also won't be mentioning the spin-off games like Pokemon Ranger or Dash or Mystery Dungeon games because they're very, very different and this episode will be ridiculously long. Ridiculously.
Pokemon Red and Blue started off the series on the Game Boy. Needless to say, it was an amazing RPG that grew to become one of Nintendo's biggest franchises. Each gen consisted with 2 or 3 games that were nearly identical, in which the only difference was the creatures you could capture in the game and a few story additions in later games. In Pokemon Yellow, which was the 3rd game for the first generation, they added a cool little mechanic. If you had a Pikachu in your party, then he would follow your character as they walked around outside of battle, in fields, towns, Pokecenters.
None of the other Pokemon did this, unfortunately, but it was still cool.
Moving on to the 2nd generation of Pokemon, we got Pokemon Silver, Gold, and Crystal. Here we got 2 new types, the Dark and Steel types, to balance out the overpowered Psychic type and the underused Fighting type.
Seriously, Psychic types were way too strong. And they didn't really have any weaknesses apart from Bug types.
After you beat the Pokemon League, you can travel back to Kanto, where the first game took place, and collect another 8 badges, and challenge the Pokemon League again, where they will have updated their Pokemon as well. 16 badges. That was awesome. Pokemon now have genders and can breed. Ditto became a horse. We also got built-in clock, allowing for in-game events to be affected by the time of day and the days of the week, like finding certain Pokemon only at nighttime. Shiny Pokemon! Pokemon can now hold items and use them in battle. This feature actually added a lot to Pokemon battles, especially when facing other players with their own game. Pokeroosh! A special Pokemon virus introduced that is actually a good thing that boosts your Pokemon stat growth. The special stat was split into 2, forming Special Attack and Special Defense. The bag is no longer a 20 item container, but has 4 different sections for different items. The Pokegear, which was also a cell phone, a radio, and a map. One thing that Pokemon Crystal had that Silver and Gold didn't was that whenever you sent out a Pokemon from their Pokeball, it would play an animation. The Battle Tower! With Gen 3, the games got a major graphical upgrade and even more stuff added to them. Pokemon now have abilities that can be used in or outside of battle. The Pokemon storage system, or rather boxes, changes from a text-based interface to a full-color graphical user interface. So much better! The introduction of Pokemon contests, where Pokemon show off their style in one of 5 contest options. You could compete for being the coolest, cutest, smartest, toughest, or most beautiful. Weather conditions can now be found on the field. Double battles, where both sides use 2 Pokemon at a time.
I believe this is one of the biggest improvements Game Freak could have ever done. Pokemon that normally do really bad in singles can actually be really effective in double battles. Plus, you can come up with some pretty awesome team combos. Anyways, getting back on track.
Natures were added, which affected and showed the trainer how a Pokemon's stats would grow. Secret bases! The only negative it had was that the function of the built-in clock was greatly reduced. What? There are no cosmetic changes during different times of day, and Pokemon appearances are not affected by the time, like in Gen 2.
Stay there.
Certain Pokemon only evolve during the night, but that is pretty much it.
Why you do this, Game Freak? It makes no sense. The game would have been perfect if you didn't change that one mechanic.
Gen 4! The real-time and days of the week system from Generation 2 made a return with enhanced transitions between the time periods of the day. Moves are now split into either physical or special based on the move itself rather than its type. Apart from the previous two, we also got status moves, which were moves that didn't deal direct damage, such as Swords Dance, Destiny Bond, and so on.
This was another big change that had a major impact on the game.
Pokemon are now able to be traded and battled over the internet through Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. Naturally, another major upgrade, making battling other people so much easier and more fun. Some Pokemon now display differences in appearance based on their gender. Players are now able to run inside all buildings, thank God! Still considered for Gen 4, Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver introduced the Pokethlon, where Pokemon competed against each other in various minigames. This was similar to the Pokemon contest in the previous games. Going to Gen 5 now, Pokemon battle sprites now animate all the time, rather than just when they exit from their Pokeball. A nice addition. Triple battles and rotation battles are not part of gameplay, which are variations of battling like double battles. Not as fun or impressive, but changes things up a bit. The introduction of Dark Grass, where double battles against wild Pokemon can occur. The Intralink, which allowed players to visit each other in towns or routes instead of just the Union Room or Underground from the previous games. The experience gain mechanic was changed a bit. Basically, if your Pokemon level is lower than the one you are fighting, you get a bit more XP at the end. If you are higher level than the one you are fighting, then you get less experience at the end. A bit annoying if you're ahead, but cuts time needed to train your Pokemon that are behind. The introduction of seasons, which alternate every month. Ooh! The Pokemart is now combined with the Pokemon Center. Okay? Dynamic camera movements during battle. Ooh! The battle music changes under certain conditions. When one of the player's Pokemon on the battlefield has less than 25% of their health, the music changes to a faster, more suspenseful theme. When battling a gym leader's last Pokemon, the music also changes. In addition, TMs now have infinite uses. TMs now have infinite uses, like HMs. Yay! The game now censors Pokemon nicknames.
Yay! No, wait, no, that's bad!
Now here are a few things they took out. They abandoned Pokemon contests and the Pokethlon in favor of the Pokemon Musical, a different type of competition which does not factor into Pokemon's moves. In other words, it was shit. Secret bases are out. Why? Gen 6. The game upgraded from using sprites to full 3D models. Mega Evolution, giving old Pokemon a better form. The player can walk in 8 different directions. Super Training, a new way to train a Pokemon's EVs. Great, now everybody EV trains. Customization, dress up your character anywhere you want. Except he always has to wear a hat. Pokemon Ami.
Here, Regigigas, have a cupcake. You can't because you don't have a mouth. What the fuck?
The addition of fairy types. Yay, dragons aren't as overpowered anymore. Sky battles. Flying Pokemon only. Final Destination. Wait, wrong game. Horde encounters. There are too many of them. Inverse battle. Best battle mode ever. And this is what they cut out. The Pokemon Musical was replaced by the PR Video Studio. Here you can make short video clips and show it to all your friends. Was a bit limited though. Dark Grass is no longer found. Meh. They took out seasons. What will happen to Sawsbuck? No post-game. Nothing to do apart from finding Mega Stones and Battle Mason. There were so many mysterious and unexplained areas and locations that could have been awesome post-game material. Special side note. This is just my opinion, but the caves and dungeons in Gen 6 are way too short and easy to get by. Caves were mazes that you had to navigate yourself through and were massive. Now, most caves in X and Y were only like 3 rooms.
Alrighty, now that we talked about all these changes, let's decide. Were the changes good?
Of course they were! Well, most of them anyway. 3rd gen reducing the effect of time in game was a weird decision, and I can't really see what benefited them to do such a thing, but since they improved it even more later on, it's all good. Though they did it again with 6th gen by taking out seasons. You can see Game Freak is trying to implement another use of Pokemon other than battling or collecting, with the Pokemon contest, Pokeflon, the musicals. But they don't seem to have decided which one they want to keep, although I think the Pokethlon and contests are the best out of all of them. The main complaint I would have is that the most recent games are way too easy. But that is just me.
Overall, there are very few things that need changing back, just to make the game a little bit better. But they still improved the games a lot from when they first started making them.
Chimchar! So, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments, and if you like this video, then please share it around. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see future episodes. I'll see you guys next time.